So we're talking about clay today, and this is also something that I really am so thankful for. Clay has really helped me on many occasions. I don't know about you, Mercy. Have you used it quite a bit?
Yeah, I've done a bathing with clay also.
Okay, so you're using clay in your bath. Is that what you're doing?
And also directly in the skin.
Directly on the skin. In what cases have you been using clay?
When there is inflammation or rash, sometimes pain also.
Okay, so I really have really been helped by it for joint issues, especially like with neck pain and disc herniation types of things, without saying too much, but that's what I found it to be helpful for. And so I'm going to show you how to make a poultice with it. The thing about clay is that once it's wet, you don't want to be using metal instruments for it because it'll change the ion. I think it's negatively charged, and so you don't want to be using metal with it. So I use glass or wood. So you can see I have a wood spatula here. So what we do is, let me move this out of the way, but the amount of water that you have here, that's what's going to be taken up by the clay. So you're going to just put this in. And people say to sprinkle it in, sprinkle it in, sprinkle it in, sprinkle it in, and it'll get saturated. The water will get saturated by the clay. And so when I do this, or when I'm in a hurry, I just dump it. And then it doesn't make as pretty of a clay, you know, it's kind of lumpy, but it works. How do you do it?
First, I do the opposite with the clay, and then I add the water as needed and stir it.
Okay, so everybody can do
results.
Do it different ways.
Yeah.
And you'll find that, you know, if you add too little clay and it's watery, it will just, you know, the water will evaporate and you'll end up with a nice consistency.
So that you would stir it?
I tend to just leave it, you know, but you can, well, that's why when you sprinkle it in, you sprinkle it in, you sprinkle it in, and then you don't need to.
Never done that. That's a good tip.
So, yeah, I saw that on another program actually. But here, this is clay that I mixed up a while back, and if you cover it, you know, you can hold on to it and
nice and creamy.
Nice and creamy. Clay is really good for pain. And I think it's even more helpful than charcoal has been for pain, but they're both really good. The other thing that clay has been found to be helpful for is with infections, you know, with spider bites and these types of things. Charcoal and clay poultices have been found to be very helpful. So here's clay. What I like to do is I like to apply it directly to the skin. So I'll just like slop it, you know, if I have an aching shoulder, get in the bath and, you know, put some clay directly on top of the skin. I'll put this a little bit on you here. And the nice thing about clay is that it doesn't stain. And so if it gets on your clothing, it'll wash off. At least this type of clay. You want to get bentonite clay. This is, I have Pascalite. There's also living clay, and I call living clay. They don't have as many of heavy metals. So some people like to take it internally. And so I think that's something to be aware of, where you're getting your clay from and whether it has heavy metals and that type of thing. So that just feels soothing, doesn't it? Nice and cool. Yeah. So what I like to do is I like to moisten this, get it wet, so that this stays wet, and it
feels super great.
And so, you know, you can wrap this up with saran wrap. You can, or you know, on areas that you can't access, you know, like on your neck, you might not be able to to wrap that with saran wrap that easily. I just put the paper towel on it, and that'll keep it wet for about an hour or so, and then you get the effects of it for quite a bit of time. It will loosen up tight muscles. It's just super good for pain, infections, even mild burns. You can apply clay to, and it will be very soothing and healing. So we learned about clay for the bath. Very good for detoxing. Internally, you can take it internally. You can make a poultice with it and use it for pain, for infection, and anything else that I missed.
I think you covered everything.
Okay, so why don't you try getting some clay, making a poultice, and see how it feels for you.